Tony, I'm going to ask you this. Like I said, you refereed at 835. I don't. Did you know that you refereed 835?
I had no idea. I never keep count. Yeah.
Well, now you know. Global Fight Talk told you you have 835 fights on your belt, under your belt.
Thank you. Thank you.
So out of those 830 fights, 35 fights, I know you don't remember all of them, but what was probably one of the most memorable fights you've ever refereed? Like,
Oh, without a doubt, Corrales-Castillo won.
yeah.
Historical making fight. Um, you know, to this day, people are still talking about that fight. Not only the fight, the round. It was not only was the fight 2005 fight of the year, but it was the 2005 round of the year, and that dramatic ending really put an exclamation point on it. Yeah, both guys evenly matched. Both guys taking punishment, giving punishment, and it was a pretty much even fight up until that point. But that dramatic ending really, put an exclamation point on it.
Does that fight ever remind you of another fight, maybe like a Gotti fight, one of those type of fights? Do you ever think back like, oh, this fight reminds me of this other fight? I mean, because
Really,
it's action packed and they both dropped each other. And,
yeah,
do you ever think like that? Like, do you ever compare fights?
not really. To me, that fight stands alone.
Right.
And like you said, you mentioned Ward Gotti. Those two guys were rock'em sock'em robots,
Oh,
and
yeah.
somebody could fall at either time. And some people say the fight should have been stopped, whatever the situation is. But the Corrales-Castillo fight, it was just so tremendous back and forth action and a tremendous heart. And when you're going through it in real time, you really can't grasp what's really happening. But I mean, you and this is a fight, but it really didn't grasp me until afterwards. And everybody were calling me to give interviews and talking about it. It's all in the news, and it was just it was like, wow. I remember Richard Steele, the great Richard Steele.
Oh, yeah.
Legendary referee, my mentor. He told me, says, referees can go throughout an entire career and not have a signature fight. And I was blessed to have a signature fight with Corrales-Castillo.
Wow. And, not speaking of referees, you did mention Richard Steele, and there's Joe Cortez, but there's one particular referee that I enjoy watching. He's just so animated. And there's so many memes and videos of him, and that's Kenny Bayless.
Yeah, okay.
Do you ever like look at his? I mean, when you're as a referee and you're watching a fight that you're not refereeing, but do you ever catch yourself looking at the referee other than the actual fight, just because that's what you do for a living?
Well, yeah, Kenny's my man. Yeah, we all work great together. And, as referees, we study each other and we know each other's style and mannerisms and so forth. And yeah, there's times where, especially when, Kenny's making a call or have to make some type of action in the fight, where I'm looking at him and say, there's my man. He's doing it. He's doing it.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy him. His facial expressions says it all. There's times that I go back and watch the fight just to see his facial expressions. And I'm like, man, I can't imagine. I mean, sometimes, like with you, you have a poker face and you're very serious in there. And with Kenny Bayless, so you always wonder, I wonder what Tony's thinking, when he just saw this knockout. But when Kenny's in there, you know exactly what he's thinking according to his facial expressions.
Oh, yeah. He can be very animated.
I have some questions because you know that we are Facebook Live. We do have someone on here who is watching. His name is Sav Maddox. His question to you is, what's your opinion on people saying boxing is more dangerous than MMA because fighters don't get a 10-second count to recover and continue to take damage?
Well, any combat sport is dangerous, period.
Yeah.
You know, in mixed martial arts, you're dealing with a lot more weapons. You're dealing with a different type of glove. Guys getting hit with elbows, get choked out, so forth and so on. You know, in boxing, we try to implement a lot of things to help the fighters in terms of protecting them. Giving them that standing 8 count, or that's the time where we as referees can evaluate that fighter to see if they can continue or not, to see if they're able, if they're alert. You go back to, we talked about the Corrales-Castillo fight, when Corrales went down twice. Both times he went down, and I'm counting, I'm looking at him, and he's focused and he's ready to go. So it's very crucial to implement these certain procedures that is the bottom line is for the safety of the fighters. But in all combat sports, it's like they say, you don't play boxing or you don't play mixed martial arts. In all combat sports, there's always that danger.
You being a referee for boxing, do you ever think about doing that for MMA? Because you did say that that's where you originally started, right? So
Yeah.
Have you ever officiated an MMA fight, or do you ever think that's something you would want to do one day?
Well, actually, I judged the UFC fights.
Oh, you judge? Okay, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, we did some fights last night, actually. Yeah, I judged the UFC fights. When the UFC first came back, they was looking into making me a referee, but at the time they really didn't want it because of the different mechanics. Like they say, MMA, you get knocked down, there's no standing 8 count. The referee doesn't summons the fighter to the neutral corner. So it was a little bit, it's different, and stuff. And when you officiate at a high level, you're used to doing something a certain way. You don't want to, make any mistakes in there, because if I'm doing if I'm doing an MMA fight and the fighter goes down and I react as a boxing referee, now we have a problem.
So, okay, so see, I just learned something new. I fight fans, I'm not perfect. I guess I didn't do my homework. But now that you've mentioned, I do have one more question that someone that's asking. But before I ask that question, as a referee for MMA, the rules are obviously different than boxing. I know there's a lot of fighters that say that they wish that the judges had some kind of, boxing or MMA background, because they seem to judge on a different level than, the fighters would if they fought in the past. What do you say about that? Because there has been some judges that you're like, what are you looking at? Well, what were you looking at? It's just like, the scoring was just way off. Do you agree or disagree, or do you just look at the rules that they gave you and you go by that, obviously?
Well, first of all, officiating period is a tough job. It's not as easy as people think it is. But yes, if you're going to be judging MMA, you should have some type of not martial arts background, but martial arts knowledge of the game, what you're looking at, what the holes are, so you can better evaluate each round, as it goes on. So yeah, I totally agree with that. These fighters, they work hard, they train hard, and as judges, as officials, we want to get it right. So if you want to be a judge, if you're going to be a judge, if you're going to be a referee, whatever, you study the craft, you study the rules and regulations, so exactly what you're looking at. Because you can get, like I say, there are some tough fights in there that can go either way. It's so your skills have to really come in at times.
Okay, I'm taking another question from somebody that's watching. His name is Lou. He is actually with a media outlet, with Clutch City Boxing. What's up, Lou? His question to you: in your opinion, who's the best boxer you've seen fighting in person?
Well, I really can't answer that because all the fighters that I've seen in person, I've either officiated or they're still fighting. So I really
You
can't
gotta plead the
answer that.
fifth. You're just gonna plead the fifth.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
You gonna
But the
plead the
best,
fifth.
but the best fighter that I haven't seen live but seen on TV, of course, my idol Muhammad Ali.
Yes, yes. Well,
Mhm,
I had the opportunity to interview his daughter, Layla
mhm,
Ali, but I've never had the opportunity to interview, Muhammad Ali.
mhm,
But, going back to, saying, how judging and, refereeing is so hard to do. In boxing, they have where you can go back and replay, the round. Um, I'm going to bring up a fight that you judged that I saw, that I remember watching, and you issued out an apology when it was the Ward and Kovalev fight. You
mhm,
issued out an apology because you didn't see the low blows.
mhm,
Um, do you ever go back and think? I don't think at that time they had the replays, correct?
mhm. No,
No.
no, yeah, no. We did, but let me say this. No, I didn't apologize. I didn't issue an apology.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
That was somebody who put a fake. It was a fake Twitter. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, no,
So you
yeah,
did not apologize for that.
no,
It
no,
was a
no,
fake tweet.
no. Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
What did you think about that fight? Did you see the low blows or
Well, if you look at that fight, first of all, a lot of fighters wear their trunks high. Okay, and Kovalev had his trunks high. And if you really go back and look at that fight, the first time I gave Ward a warning, hey, keep him up. It really wasn't low at all, and I just gave Kovalev the benefit of the doubt. But in my mind, see, as referees, we evaluate the situations as it goes along. In my mind, I was like, man, I don't think he could take it to the body because the shot it didn't appear that hard. But when you have these wide waistbands, uh, just because the blow maybe breaks the plane of the waistband doesn't mean if it's a low blow. Low is low. We know when something's really low, and there's a different reaction, physical reaction from a fighter when they're really hit low, as opposed when they get a good shot to the stomach. You know, once again, it's always a judgment call, and we have to make those calls, and we have to stick with them. Now, like I say, with the implementation of instant replay, yeah, you can go back and evaluate the situation to see if it was a knockdown, if it was a low blow, or what have you.